Start when you're ready.
This is the Kestrel. Oh, fuck. I fucked it up.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
This is the Holy Kestrel podcast with your host.
Okay, one more time from the top. It's Eric Malibu.
Oh, fuck. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is the Kestrel podcast with your host, Eric Malibu.
Holy Kestrel.
I'm fucking with you. I'm gonna start over. I'm sorry. I just... Okay. You ready? This is the Holy Kestrel podcast with your host, Eric Malibu.
Thank you for watching the Holy Kestrel, listening today, guys. Today I have a very special guest, longtime friend. He is an aspiring bodybuilder, an anime fanatic, and you can find him on Instagram at Adamightful. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Adam Acoba on the show today. Adam, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. Adam, what's been new with you lately, man?
Not much, man. Hired a coach actually this week, so really excited about that, to actually outsource my programming to someone else. I think it's nice because when you're so invested into something and you can outsource things, it makes it that much less difficult. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, you don't have to give that part of your sport thought.
Right.
Like when you're deep into a prep, for example, like a bodybuilder, deep into a prep, like losing weight for a show, like, fuck, like towards the end of it, they can't even think. So, like, outsourcing everything you can to, like, one person or a few different people, I think is really nice. So I've done that. I'm really excited because I love training, but I don't always feel like putting in so much, like, thought into my programming.
Right.
Which is the most important thing.
And being an aspiring bodybuilder, working on that physique, you're very, I guess, knowledgeable of different things going on within the industry itself, the fitness industry, that is. And that's really what today's podcast is about. This is called the $1 Million Man. You know, there's a huge community, and I'm definitely for people putting time and effort into their bodies to look good for themselves. Usually I'm not about looking good for others, but also just to be healthy in general. And questions and, you know, truths and myths that are behind the fitness industry when you think about it. And it's easy to fall into the lies. You see them everywhere, from what type of workouts are just going to get you a six-pack in 7 days, and then, you know, what kind of juices are going to make you shredded. So, Adam, like, in general, do you think there's a lot more myth than fact coming to the fitness industry?
So I like that question a lot. I think it's really hard to quantify, like, the amount of, like, myth versus fact, like you said. But ultimately, I think it's really up to the person, and if they are committed to the sport, I think it's their responsibility to differentiate the two. And I think if they don't, it's their fault. So I think if you never change anything, yet you expect different results, and you don't get them, it's your fault. So under that same rationale, I think that, you know, if you're doing all these things that you saw online and they're not working for you, there's a reason why they're not working. There could be several different reasons, but it's your responsibility. It's up to you to figure out why it's not working. And I think that just plays into a lifter's maturity. And the longer you stay in the game, hopefully the smarter you become. And you start realizing what's bullshit and what's not. And I think when you get to that point too, you can recognize what's bullshit before anyone else has. Just because you understand these principles and you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Now, coming through maturity, like lifting maturity, now, how did you start off, and what were you dragged into anything when you first started lifting? Like, you bought into the idea of something that was supposed to work that turned out not to work for you? And give us a little backstory on your lifting career.
So I think the beginning of my lifting career is similar, if not identical, to most, you know, male teenage lifting careers. I saw, like, a magazine. I forgot what magazine, like Flex magazine or something. And the guy on the cover was probably some IFBB pro, an absolute fucking unit. And I just thought that he got that way from training and from eating intelligently, and which is true to a certain extent, but he's probably running the kitchen sink too to get to that fucking point. So when I first started, I was a total bench bro. No, actually, take it back. I didn't have access to a bench every day. I had a set of dumbbells. They went from 10 all the way to 25, and I would just do shit with that. Usually just curls, overhead, dumbbell extension, shit like that. And it worked, but like everything, it works up until a point. And so it got me from point A to point B, but I could not get my physique from point B to point C doing the same shit.
Right.
And I mean, also too, like I'm only training like one part of my body. Like I wasn't doing really any compound movements. And I think a lot of the change I saw in my body is because I was just a kid. Like I was growing, and I was also in wrestling too, which plays a huge part in the development of someone's physique, especially at that age too. Um, but no, I kept with it, and I kept adding new exercises, and I kept learning, and then my training changed a little bit, not drastically. And then I got to college, and YouTube was big before that, but when I went into college, like I started realizing like how big YouTube was and like how much information was on YouTube. And I started researching and finding someone through someone else who had a different opinion than me, or maybe they challenged someone else's opinion I thought was true beforehand. And so then I got really into weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting. I was fucking obsessed with it. I wanted to learn the snatch and the clean and jerk, but my elbow has pretty bad tendonitis, and so the overhead position of the snatch makes it feel like it's going to snap in two. So I did learn the squat really well, and good movement patterns, and pulling and deadlifting and shit like that. And then eventually, like I just took a break from weightlifting, but took those same principles and applied them towards bodybuilding, which was always my goal. And I think from there I developed my own style of training. But yeah, like over the years, my programming just became more individualized to what I needed: sets, reps, exercise selection, variation, intensity, frequency. All that stuff was catered to me.
Right. Now, as you've been working through your career, I'm sure you're able to see what's working for some people, what's not. What, if any, do you see any main problems in the fitness industry today? And of course, I mean, there's different branches, so you can attack this at different angles. There's powerlifting, bodybuilding, there's athletic, there's running, other athletic sports like that. Not saying that bodybuilding, powerlifting isn't, but more, I guess, like sporty type training.
I think this is a really hard question to answer for a lot of different reasons, but one of them is because there's so much bullshit. Like, if I were to tell you of all the bullshit I've seen, we'd probably spend the entire podcast talking about that. But also, too, I'm at a point where I don't follow anything like that, so I don't see everything. The only shit I see these days is stuff that is relevant to me and my lifting career, and information I think is relevant and useful. So there's a lot of stuff I don't see.
Well, not even just like today, or what have you seen in the past that you think would still be an ongoing issue?
It's just fresh in my mind because I think I heard you talk about it. And like juices and detoxes and shit like that. I think they're complete bullshit. I think that your body does most of that work for you, if not all of it. I think the detox is just something sexy and fast that people can buy to, try to solve an issue as fast as possible. But
yeah, detoxes, as far as I've seen them, they're not exactly. It's not like you can drink a juice and every inch of fat is off of you. It's not just like, it's not that easy as drinking a juice or a tea. But I could see how like detox teas do help, like antioxidants being in your body, that really helps. Going into that, I would say that's a great end to use it for, but in my own personal opinion, I don't think it would be something that is a long-term solution.
Like, if you think it works for you, and you buy this thing, and it does work for you to a certain extent, then by all means, if like you want to spend your money to do that, you should do that. Like, that's your choice.
Right.
I'm not trying to make anyone feel stupid for doing something that they believe in. But like I said earlier, I do think it's stupid though if you keep doing the same thing but you expect different results.
Now,
So
do you think people can be more misled due to just being stupid about the information they receive, or truly being gullible and just believing because some fit person online said it works?
yeah, I think that comes down to someone's maturity, like lifting maturity. Like, I think a lot of people, they see like a physique online, and that person with that physique says something and they automatically believe it because they don't know any better. They don't know anything about PEDs or anything like that. And PEDs themselves, like that, it's such a big topic to cover, and you don't learn all that information in one day. So I don't
Oh, are
expect
you
some
saying actual PE degree, like
like
athletic degrees?
no P like physically enhancing drugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, steroids.
Steroids, yep.
Yeah, you don't learn about like all of that in one day.
Right.
But that, like I said earlier, like I think it's your responsibility to get smarter.
Right.
And if you don't do that and you're still in the same place, it's your fault.
Now, I guess we've touched into this a little. Do you think there's any stigmas in the fitness industry that, just because someone looks away, they're on steroids? Like, I'd say that's kind of a stigma where just because a guy is super lean, he might be naturally lean, but do you see any stigma, like people jump the gun to assume it's steroids or PEDs? Do you see any other stigmas like that?
I think people do that when they see something that they think is unrealistic for themselves.
Right.
They see someone absolutely shredded, and they not everyone, but there are a lot of people that see that and they automatically assume that that person is, quote unquote cheating. When fuck, like, are they cheating? Like that. Maybe yes, maybe no. If they are telling people they're natural and they are doing steroids, then I would classify that not as cheating, but being a shitty person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But
go ahead.
as far as like other stigmas go, I just think there's so many. It's hard to narrow them down.
Yeah. I know, I used to always make the joke that, like, you don't do anything with the elliptical. I'm sure it does work for some people, and then I make that joke and, like, I don't even do cardio at all, so.
See, like, training is so individual.
Right.
But there are people that don't understand that, and they think because something works for them, that everyone else should be doing it. So when they see someone doing something that they themselves don't do or they think is bullshit, they automatically think that that person is fucking stupid. But, like I said, training's individual. And maybe they're on the elliptical because they have a contest coming up and they're trying to manage their energy expenditure for the day to make sure they hit the calories they need to for that day. Or fuck, maybe they just like the elliptical. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I know, that's...
No, I'm not trying to dog you. I'm just saying, like, like when people get like upset about shit like that, I'm like, why do you care?
Right.
Like, if you invest that much time and energy into trying to dissect someone's training philosophy, you're gonna be wasting a lot of time.
Right. No, of course, there are stuff that you see. There's still going to be stuff you see that's just like, what the hell?
No, yeah, there are.
I mean, what's one thing you've seen that you're just like, what are you doing?
Oh, shit. CrossFit. I'm just kidding. Oh, man. See, usually most of the stuff I see like that is online. It's like an Instagram page or a YouTube channel dedicated to stupid stuff. Like, what's that one? IG channel? Like, it's like the biggest one.
I know what you're
You know what I'm
talking
talking?
about,
Yeah,
like
it's
just
like
gym fails, something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
epic gym fails,
Yeah.
or it's like a compilation of people doing stupid shit in the gym,
I
like the
mean,
stupidest shit.
and then we're not even talking just squatting with bad form. We're not talking about bench pressing weirdly. It's
No,
like
it's like
really off the wall.
like doing a clean on a Bosu ball with a medicine ball on top of your head
Yeah.
for functional. I
Functional
hate that word,
fitness.
dude. Functional fitness. I'm like, what movement is not functional, man? I get what they're trying to say when they say functional fitness, but I just,
I
you
guess
know,
more functional into everyday life.
see, like these movements that they're doing, these movement patterns, you can break them down into separate movements. You know that you that
Yeah, I
yeah, okay,
understand.
yeah.
Like doing uh,
A kipping pull up.
yeah,
Yeah,
keeping pull up where
yeah.
you come up into a dip. Like there's different movements that go into that, and so doing one by itself as opposed to just doing the whole thing really doesn't affect it. What things? Now we're talking about stuff that there's no way it can work. What things do you think? What have you seen that actually works, like for yourself or just people have suggested to you that makes sense that it seems like it would work, like programs?
I think there are laws that govern lifting. And I think that the more familiar you are with these laws, the more creative you can be with your workouts. But I think people they expect like new things to be discovered. And yeah, like there are new things discovered, but for the most part, like all that shit's out there. Like it not a whole lot of new information has surfaced. Like new information has surfaced, but not anything like groundbreaking. Like we know what works. So I just it comes down to knowing yourself and manipulating those variables for yourself, like frequency, intensity, volume. You know, all those variables, by catering it to your own needs. So starting off, you know, like starting strength, like doing like a 3x5 on most of your movements is a great place to start. But then that will work up until a point. Then you'll plateau. Then you have to figure something else out, and that's where you start individualizing stuff. So
So it's really like there's a fitness meta of what's gonna work and what's gonna hurt.
like the stuff that has worked for some time,
Right.
like forever. So just knowing what you can manipulate, that's where I think you'll find out what works and what doesn't. Like okay, so you have a lifter and they can bench, you know, 135, like one plate. They can do that for like 10 sets of 10, like German volume training, right? You can't expect someone who benches like 495, so 5 plates, to do that same program. They can't get from benching 135 for a 10 by 10 all the way up to 5 plates, 495, doing the same program. If they can, they're an absolute freak. So you have to start like tailoring your programming to fit your needs and your lifestyle too. Like it's not just about the gym, it's about your life.
And
Like if you're construction, shit, that is such a huge stressor. Stress stressor. So fatigue management, recovery, all these things, you have to be aware of them. You know, if okay, you work construction from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you go work out and you're like, that felt like shit. There's probably a reason why.
That's how it used to be with cleaning pools.
Yeah.
Get to the gym after a day of cleaning pools and just, oh.
So you have a guy who, you know, works out 4 hours a day and he's like, yeah, you should do that too. You're like, how the fuck would I do that? I work 6 a.m. to 6, I work, or let's say you work 4 tens a week, right? After that 10-hour shift, and let's say it's like a manual labor job, right? Like, no fucking way you're going to work out for 4 hours.
Right.
So maybe what you would do is you would you would lower the session volume, right? But spread it out. So make it the frequency. So maybe the total volume for both those individuals is the same, but how they acquire that volume is different. So lifter A, who doesn't do manual labor job, who doesn't have a big time commitment like that, he right when he wakes up, goes into the gym, can hit it hard, right? Whereas, lifter B, you, for example, let's say you work like a manual labor job and it's like a 10-hour shift and you get off, you're that session, the volume, unless like you're just an absolute freak, that volume is going to be lower during that session, but your frequency might be higher than the other lifter. So if you do some math at the end of the week, maybe you acquire the same volume, if not higher. But then maybe you find out you don't really respond good to higher volume. Maybe lower volume works good for you. Yeah.
Well, there is a lot that goes into that, especially just because it.
And yeah, outside of like work too, man. Like, you have a relationship, dude. Like, let's say you're married, right? And you're getting ready for a divorce. That's huge. That's huge. Like that will affect your training. I'm gonna steal this analogy from Alan Thrall, Untamed Strength. I forgot when I saw this. It was like a few years ago. I really like this. So it's like a cup, right? And everything you do is liquid poured into the cup. When the liquid starts like overflowing, it's spilling everywhere, right? You've gone too far. So your job is to make sure that the liquid stays at a certain level. And there are things you can do to take liquid out of the cup too.
Right.
Like recovery methods and things of that nature.
I think that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Now, moving into that, stuff that sticks with you, stuff that you see is good. Do you have anyone, in your opinion, let's put this into two questions, really. Who do you think has the best physique that you've seen? Men, women, either or. And who do you think has the best content?
Okay.
And we're talking content. They put out stuff. Let's say the best would be putting out content that's not to just get paid on some customized quote-unquote fitness plan, but they put content out so it's out there so people know how to properly do what they want to.
So I like how you split this question up, because I think people assume that a great physique means they're incredibly smart.
Right.
But no, that's not always the case. Like, you could have a genetic freak who is on a really good cycle and they look, incredible, but that does not mean that they are an intelligent lifter. But I would like to say, like, just because science says one thing, you should also look at what the pros are doing. So I think I just kind of contradicted myself there, but fuck, remind me of the question. Okay. So a physique I really like in the industry, I actually think I mentioned him today. So I'm a big fan of the classic division, the relatively new classic division. I love it because I love that look, that Y shape, right? The letter Y. Chris Bumstead, I love his physique, man. The flow, everything, the shape, he to me embodies classic physique. Trying to think of a few other physiques I like. Big fan of so this guy actually, I think he looks great and he's incredibly smart too. Jared Feather, I love his physique and I also love the content he puts out. So he's part of Renaissance Periodization with Mike Israel, a lot of other great minds as well. And I love his physique. What about you?
Man.
Is that him? You pulled him up?
Yeah. Jared Feather, he definitely has a physique going for him. Wow.
I don't know when he last competed, but
I think I've always been a fan of how the dry look works. Just their skin looks dry even though they've been working out.
Like dick skin kind of look.
Yes. Let's go ahead.
That's a random metaphor I just thought of. Totally
I was
random.
thinking of that, like where the skin looks like maybe skin on a bat's wing.
Reminds me of something else we were talking about before.
I don't know what you're talking about, but we're gonna move on from there. You asked me who my personal favorite. I it's been a while. I haven't been really keeping up per se. I've just been kind of working out for my. I got kind of tired just seeing constant like fitness stuff. So I've been taking a break from actually viewing that content. Uh, I've always been a big fan of Callum.
I am too, man. It's cool to see him back at. I don't know if he's as big as he used to be, but he's definitely big.
I remember, like, everyone used to see Arnold in the magazines. He definitely was the Arnold for me when I saw it. Really, he wasn't even the first, I guess, fitness influence. The first thing that got me wanting to lift was seeing Captain America.
Yeah, like Chris Evans coming out of
Yeah,
the machine. Yeah.
and just, I was like, whoa.
Dude, the first thing that inspired me to lift was Naruto, Rock Lee versus Gaara. There's a scene where Rock Lee takes like some ankle weights off, and they're like falling in slow mo, and everyone's like, Psh, like, what's that gonna do? They're just like, like 10 pounds each. And they like break the ground, and like smoke goes everywhere, and like he vanishes. He's so fast, and he beats Gaara's ass for a bit. That scene, I was like, yep, I want to work
There's
out.
just no way you
What?
can lift those weights at that size.
See, that's why you're not Rock Lee, dude.
You're
You
right.
don't believe in
You
yourself.
said there's laws. You said there's laws.
They don't apply to Shinobi, dude.
All right. Well,
Wait. Let me go back to your question.
okay.
I didn't cover men's open bodybuilding. In the open division, and he won the Olympia. Brandon Curry.
I heard about him.
I love his physique, dude. And usually I'm not like a huge fan of I definitely respect like they are the best of the best, but Classic has always been my favorite since it's debuted. But open bodybuilding, I have to like give respect to Brandon Curry. The symmetry, the size, the proportions, I think he came in perfect for the Olympia, dude.
You're telling me you're not a big fan of the guys that have 5 feet wide shoulders with loaves of bread for abs?
Okay,
No,
so don't get me wrong, man.
the ab gut.
Okay, so people ask me like, why do you work out? And I tell them, right, like I want to look good, like I want to get better. And they'll be like, it's not good for your health, right? I'm like, you think I do this for my health? You think I work out this hard because I want to be healthy? I work out because I want to be a freak. I want to walk in the door and I want people to look at me and realize that I'm actually a person. Like that is possible. Someone did that.
You look like Lou Ferrigno's poo.
Have you seen it?
Huh?
Have you seen that?
Yeah, it has a 12 pack. Okay, and
Yeah.
now you said you used to watch a lot of YouTube videos
Mm-hmm.
when YouTube was established. I miss the good old YouTube days before
Yeah,
a lot of content came
yeah.
onto it.
It's hard, man, like putting out relevant content constantly. Like how many fucking how-to squat videos can you make before his shit gets old? Not too many, man.
All the ways you can do squats, really, which is what, maybe 10?
I don't know how to quantify it. There's a lot of variations, but like a textbook, like I'd say like either like low bar, high bar squat, right? There's only so many how-to guides you can make before it starts getting old.
Right.
But were you gonna ask like what YouTube channels I used to follow?
Yeah, what did you used to watch that you like to see?
So most of the ones I used to watch, I still do actually. Omar Isuf, I love Omar, puts out great content. Not as much I think as he used to. I think I don't want to say Omar fell victim, but I recognize it's hard to put out like new, fresh, relevant content all the time, and I think he's really trying. So I do admire that. But yeah, Omar Isuf. I used to watch a lot of the Hodge twins.
The Hodge twins?
Remember them?
Are they the
The two black
workout
guys.
bro?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like twins.
yeah.
Yeah. They actually do like comedy now. They do tours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize that until my buddy Um, if you're listening, you know who you are. He went to go see them recently in Dallas. So yeah. Man, I'm trying to think who else besides them. Like when I'm. This
Bro
is like
Science Life.
I never watched them, dude. I have plenty
The
of friends that watch them.
the Bro Science.
Is that Don?
Yeah.
Okay, Don. Yeah, I never watched them like seriously.
Oh really?
Sorry, I was thinking of Buff Dudes for some reason. I got it confused.
Buff Dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch them a little bit.
But now 3DMJ, Renaissance Periodization, Juggernaut Training Systems. Still watch Omar.
Phoenix. Jeff.
I don't watch
Cavalier.
him too much.
Really?
Yeah. I.
He's the prodigal son.
you know, you know what he looks like to me?
Yeah.
Beautiful Squidward.
Jeff Cavalier.
Who else do I watch? Brian Alsrew.
I don't know why I ride the train for him as hard as I do, but I'm a huge fan of David Lade.
Mm-hmm.
Just watch.
He's got a great physique, man.
Yeah.
Like Gymshark, they have a good amount of athletes.
God knows how he got that physique. Like, he started off really skinny. I swear some of his pictures, his back looks as big as Arnold's used to.
Really?
Like being a little over dramatic there, but
See, Gymshark, my favorite athlete used to be Steve Cook. He used to be so fucking juicy. But he got off the gear. Looking at his pictures, I can tell he got off the gear some time ago. And now he does more general fitness, which is cool. I admire that.
now kind of going to the flip side of that. We know there's a lot of toxicity really wherever you are, whatever industry or fandom, whatever you're a part of. Mm, What like major toxicity have you seen in the lifting community, and do you have any personal experiences with that?
I like this question a lot too. I think people have unrealistic body fat expectations. They think that you can look like you're sub 10% body fat year round, like have like a shredded like vascular 8-pack year round, and I think that's unhealthy and unrealistic for most people. But let's say that like your body fat set point is naturally very low, and like genetically, your midsection is like doesn't retain a lot of body fat, even if you put on a lot of weight. That is realistic for you then. But I think people see someone like that, and then they assume that that is possible, which it's not. It's all again individual to you, and your own anatomy. So yeah, I think that people that think you should be at a certain body fat, well, no, take that back, that you should be like shredded year round, I think that's just unhealthy.
All right. Shredded year round, able to squat 20 times their body weight.
So that's another thing too. I think people want to be shredded and freakishly strong, but it's like trying to do two very different things at the same time.
Well, because even would you agree with that, having just a really good physique, it's kind of an illusion, because you're not
Yeah.
necessarily strong. You look strong,
Mm-hmm.
but that's more, I can see his muscles, and the mindset goes to muscles equals strength.
So the guys on stage, they are probably at their weakest when they're on stage. Your off season is where you do like growing and make a lot of gains, and then you cash in on those gains when the time is right. You don't want to like bulk cut year round. You're just like going back to the same starting point. So it has to be strategic, and it has to make sense, Like you compete and then maybe take a year, 2 years off of good like training and being in a caloric surplus. And then when you come back and you cut back to the same body fat you were previously, you hopefully look better. You put on size and you've improved your weak areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Have you had any personal experiences that you think like have left a mark on you? Like, wow, that I don't want to be that person when it comes to working out.
Uh,
Like, if you think like people who play video games, there's that
uh-huh.
one screamer guy that they're like, I don't want to be like.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people in my shoes aren't willing to admit it, but I do suffer from body dysmorphia. Just constantly not being happy with the way you look.
Right.
I think that almost everyone feels that way too.
Oh, I've
So,
definitely felt that for a long time. I've definitely got. It's taken a long time to get to a point where I'm not so much anymore about just, my body needs to be perfect, but my body needs to be healthy.
yeah. But I've found salvation in trusting the process. Trust that, just because you're getting to this certain body fat level, or just because you're a bit softer than you were during your your prep, doesn't mean you can't go back to that. But when you go back, you'll be better. So trust the process.
I feel that so bad with my arms because when I look in the mirror after doing an arm workout, my arm looks huge. If I'm just flexing right now, I'm just seeing really the top of it. I'm not seeing
Mhm.
how far down it goes, and like my arms can get, I have good size arms for where I'm at. That when I see myself in the mirror, then I'm like, oh, okay, there's that. Or people will tell me like my arms are really big. So
Lifting maturity, dude. Lifting maturity, man.
my
Yeah.
muscles have beards now.
Yeah.
So they're mature. Have you had anyone be toxic towards you when it comes to lifting? Like, hey man, you're fucking hurting yourself, like, or just some like that
Yeah.
workout does nothing for you.
Yes. Yeah. I have. Yeah.
What's
I can't think of the like audacity it takes to do that, man. But I'd like to say I'm a good sport, and when people do that, I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm not really taking what they're saying seriously, but I'm not gonna tell them to their face. I just say thank you. I appreciate you saying something, and I'll go back to doing what I was doing.
I like when it's the like, 5'9", like 100 pound soaking wet guy that's like, actually 315 butt to grass isn't good for anyone.
Yeah, we were like squatting isn't good for your knees. I'm like, no, squatting with bad form is not good for your knees. Squatting is not bad for your knees.
It's a natural movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Take a poop, dude.
of course, anyone's doing some form of damage, whether it's like long term or short term when they're attempting to lift really heavy weights.
Yeah,
But there's definitely a lot of precautions you can take to, like, I guess, lessen the blow you'll take.
there's a line you cross, dude, where it is no longer healthy. You want to become so strong that you cross that line, and now you're going into potentially dangerous territory.
Like was it the guy who bruised his
Yeah,
chest?
like your
Well,
pec doesn't fly off. You don't rip a pec like I mean you could, but usually you don't benching a plate.
right.
You bench 600. That's highly likely.
That's got to be terrifying. The whole idea of just tearing just a muscle inside
Yeah.
you, ripping apart. Oh,
But those people, I admire it because the people that attempt those 600 pounds, I'm sure they are afraid, but they go for it. And sometimes they do rip a pec, but you know what? Sometimes they get it. They put it up.
man, I've definitely I've definitely left one plate behind on each side behind. Like floating towards the stars. Like one plate, it doesn't do anything for me now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people who are doing 600 pounds are like one plate. No, no, no. 3 plates does nothing.
They started off, in a similar position
Right.
to us, though, so it
Yeah.
just plays into the maturity part, like I said, like realizing, like, oh, this is where I'm at now, but it doesn't mean I'll always be here.
What do you find your biggest or your best workout? Not that it gives you the best results, just your favorite workout.
Like, what's like, what do you mean, like, favorite body part to hit, or, like,
What's your favorite, I guess, body part to hit, but more than that, like, I love doing lat pull downs,
mm-hmm.
especially with that grip that we used when we went to your gym.
Oh, dude, that, it's called MAG, M-A-G, it's like an acronym for something. But yeah, basically, it's like a very natural, like, it's like a thumbless grip, right? It's very
I
natural.
felt I was able to make my back the tightest there.
Yeah.
Especially now that I've been focusing on
Mm-hmm.
getting my chest up more when I do a pull down to get more lat activation as opposed to just biceps.
I fucking love that grip. I wish all gyms had that grip. It's like a 45-degree angle, right? And you put your hands on it, but it's not thumb over bar. So it's like kind of like a false grip. And I feel like you just establish that mind muscle connection so well with that. For me, lately, it's been the bench press, dude. I'm back to being a bench pro because my bench progress has been so good lately. If you would ask me this question like 3, 4 years ago, I would have said squat. But I aggravated my SI joint, and my squat up until recently has not been the same.
Alright.
But finally fixed some stuff, and I'm at a point now where I can start making progress again with the squat. So, I don't know, maybe ask me again in like a year, and I might say the squat again. I don't know, we'll see.
Alright. Now, is bodybuilding your personal favorite in area of the industry, or is there anything that you watch and you're like, man, I'd really love to, like maybe Olympic lifting, like I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to do that, or that you follow harder than bodybuilding?
So like 2015 to 2016, I used to follow Olympic weightlifting pretty closely. And actually, my dad was so cool, man. He took me to it was what's the name of the competition? It was the International Weightlifting Championship. I believe that's what it's called.
Right.
It was held in Houston in 2015. My dad took me. It was so cool, man. But I like bodybuilding and powerlifting, and I think they really complement each other. Um, I think that you bodybuilding is great work for powerlifting, and I think powerlifting is a nice break from bodybuilding. Because I think bodybuilding, you put on like that size and the muscle. You know, up to a certain point, I think it's like neuromuscular adaptations your body makes, but you get to a point where you have to pack on size. You don't find a guy who looks like he doesn't lift that benches 495, 5 plates. That guy looks like he benches. He's put on that size and that muscle. I think a bigger muscle has more potential to be stronger. Um, yeah.
Right. And following these, now you've watched a lot of content, you see a lot of content. Now, it's kind of a no-brainer. Do you feel social media plays on the role in gaining a following nowadays?
Nowadays, yes, absolutely.
Or would it have been like 20 years ago, back in the 80s, 90s?
Like, what would it have been like to get a following during that time?
Or how would someone have made more of a following back then, as opposed to now?
Winning.
Winning.
I think now we're in a unique time where there are people that don't even compete that have bigger followings than those that do compete just because of social media. But I think back then you only were publicized if you won. So I think it's a big difference now. What do you think?
I definitely think it plays a role, especially just because getting yourself out there is a lot easier on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it makes sense that winning back in the day used to be what helps, especially because winning kind of gets you those sponsorships, and I'm sure sponsorships were, I'm sure they're still very important nowadays, but you can get paid just from making content from sites like YouTube, or I don't know if Instagram pays.
They do, yeah.
They do, depending on the amount of people
you can
you
monetize
have.
shit, yeah.
Right, and so it's just kind of translated to a modern society where back in the day it was winning. I feel like it was harder work because you have to fight real hard to win, to get the sponsorships, get put on the cover of magazines, to the point where you're successful with what you're doing. And now I feel like it's a little simpler because you don't have to necessarily be at the top to actually make it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of widened the the first place stance.
I mean, look at Kai Green, man. He doesn't compete. He doesn't compete anymore, and he's doing great. He has all these movie contracts, and he's also an aspiring artist. He's been on Stranger Things, man.
Yeah.
Uh, He's doing great, dude. Yeah. So I think that goes to show that you don't have to. I will say though he used to compete though, so that kind of is where he built his notoriety. But
He just kind of got shadowed by people like your favorite.
Phil Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't let that stop him.
Right.
I think with Kai, it's so cool, man, how vulnerable he is. People still comment on stuff like, "Oh, grapefruit," and he laughs at it. It's like he you can't hurt him with that because he laughs at it.
Yeah. How it's in the past for him, he was able to push that behind him, which is good for him, definitely.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you absolutely hate in the industry? Just what they put out is definitely bullshit. It's not going to help people, but somehow they have that following.
So this is really a product, not someone in particular. CBD oil. I think it's complete bullshit. Okay, let me take that back. I don't think it has been proven that it works. So maybe it's not bullshit, but at the same time, I don't think if you are getting benefit from it, it's not a lot.
When you become a sellout one day and they find out you sell CBD
yeah,
oil.
These people that are getting sponsored by, was it Herbstrong? I don't know, man. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
Well, I mean, like, who's someone that, like, you personally, maybe not hate, but you just don't want to see their content or hope that they stop? For me,
There's no one who does that for me.
Lot.
Like Brad Castleberry, that doesn't upset me that he's, I don't think he does anymore, but like lifting fake weights. That doesn't bother me,
But
man.
there's no one that you're like, oh, fuck this guy.
Even Jeff's side. Yeah, like...
Don't talk about Daddy Jeff like that.
Fuck your daddy, bro.
My daddy.
Like, it doesn't upset me, but I think it's bullshit. I haven't paid attention to him in a long time, so maybe he's different
Has
now.
anyone?
He's still got a pretty good following, I think.
I guess so, but it's more like, at this point, like, I feel like if you don't stay in the game of, like staying huge and stuff, like, as long as you're interesting still.
Mm-hmm.
Like Callum, like,
yeah,
he's definitely still lifting, but he's not quite what he used to be. Not saying he's slacked, but he definitely started getting into some ridiculous stuff, like those 2-man deadlifts.
And that's what caused it was a 2-man bicep curl, and
with like 5 plates on each side.
Yeah, who was that with? I think it was Chris Bumstead that did it with him, man. Yeah, and he tore his bicep, dude. But him, I forgot what he did exactly. It was a quad injury or his knee. He was gonna go jump off a cliff or something, man. But something happened where he fell, and the rope caught him, but it like wrapped around his leg or something, and like.
Oh.
Yeah, so actually on Netflix, if you watch the documentary, you see it happen and you hear it as well.
Callum?
Yeah, for Callum. There's a documentary on Netflix just for Callum. It's called like Unbreakable or something. It's him coming back from his injury. So I think it was that coupled with the bicep. And actually, when that happened, when he tore whatever happened to his leg, he retore his bicep because he had to pull himself up. Yeah, so.
That's a double whammy.
Yeah, but hey, man, like. That does suck, but the stuff he was doing was high risk.
Yeah, and
high risk, low reward with that stuff. Like a two man bicep curl. Yeah, like that's cool for the gram, man. But and it was what, like, it was a lot of weight, man.
It was over, I think, like 315, man.
And let's say, like, so we're doing a 2-man bicep curl. Your biceps cramp up and you drop it. That's all in my hands now.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine doing a slow, eccentric curl? Or no, not slow, fast. Because it's going to surprise you with that much weight in your hands.
Who can say where your love goes?
Like,
right.
Or like a deadlift, man. Like a 2-person deadlift. It's the same concept, dude. Going back to the question you asked, dude, there's not a whole lot of people that I just despise in the fitness industry, just because, like I said, I've gone to a point where the only people I follow are people that are I think putting out good content and are relevant to my lifting career, or I think they can share stuff that will help me or help me help others.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that sticks out to you? Say it.
It's not even she puts out bad content, because like when she put out the Owen Wilson thing, it was hilarious.
Oh, okay. All
like
right.
my own person. That's my own personal, like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
just I'm not a huge fan of her,
Yeah.
Steffi. But,
Steffi Cohen.
yeah, it's not like she puts out bad content, but some of the stuff she puts out, it kind of rubs me with that, like, I'm trying to sell you. Like, I don't want anyone to sell me anything.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it work. I want to see results. Like, I'll do the workout, but it's not because you're gonna email me a plan. Like, you're gonna work with me and, help me grow.
When you post this, do you think she's gonna roast you? No, yeah, but I do like Steffi. I like her a lot, and the information she puts out I think is great.
Yeah.
And her whole hybrid performance method, that like gym and like that company, they put out really good stuff, I think, for like beginners or people that haven't had any guidance in their lifting career quite yet, or good guidance maybe. Yeah. And she's an incredible lifter, dude.
She really is. She
I
can
love watching her squat, dude. Because people give me shit about my squat because of my eccentric, the amount of time I take to get from the top to the bottom. I do like a 3 to 4 second eccentric, and she does too, and I like the way she describes it. It's like you guarantee your positioning is perfect. Why? What do you want to say, bro?
I love working out with you, but yeah, I know why you're doing what you do.
Yeah.
But it's just like, please, Father, let me do my set.
Hey, come to my gym, dude. They have like 10 racks. Won't be an issue.
But yeah,
But no, I like that. Like, I like, I can consciously think and feel of where I am, like, during the entire movement. And when I take my time to slow down, there's a point where, like, yeah, fuck, like a 10-second eccentric, like, you're probably fucked. Like, especially if you're going for, like, a 1 rep max, like, you're not going to get it. So, like I said, there's, like, a line you cross.
Right. Oh, man. Who I've never also been a big fan of is, like, I guess it's more like CrossFitters, like the blank and blank girls, like deadlift and donuts, like
Oh, yeah.
croissants and curls.
Dude, you name, like, a pastry and then, like,
A
a
lift.
big compound lift. I see you scheming.
Like Skittles and like isolated compound eccentric lat pull downs.
Fuck, dude, so many underscores. I have to go with the pastry, dude.
First thing you're the pastry, just like
Strudel.
strudel and chaud de presse. I've never been a fan of them because they're just like, it's boring. They're like, I wake up at 4 a.m. It's like, are you proud?
I hate that mentality, dude.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I wake up early, so I'm gonna make you feel like shit because you didn't wake up early. You know what? If I have the luxury of sleeping in and getting more sleep in, which is imperative to recovery, why the fuck would I not do that?
I feel like those people, though, it's like, I sleep at 4 a.m. because I barely make enough to afford my lifestyle. So, like, I don't work that much. But you, who works, you work a busy job and you trying to squeeze an hour or two at the gym a few times a week? Trash.
But, like, that mentality, like, you got something to prove. Like, the only person you have anything to prove to is yourself. Like, so you tell me you wake up at 4 a.m. to get all this work in, like, we gotta grind. Like,
I swear those girls on CrossFit, we'll call them CrossFit pastry girls. I swear they all, like, post the same stuff, like, egg whites with spinach and avocado, #health. It's like, even like 37 other pastries just did that.
Well, they're like, there's the guy equivalent too. Like, it looks a little bit different, but they do the same shit. You know.
They put strong or like fitness in
Well,
their
they,
name.
just like we grind every day. We don't stop till we puke. I'm like, why would I work out until I?
Cali muscle mentality.
What happened to that guy, dude? I have not seen that guy in a bit. Remember his pre-workout called Hyphy Mud or something, which was basically coffee and soda. It's like Folgers and Coca-Cola, bro.
I was talking to, because I had a friend who used to watch a lot of Cali Muscle, and he's like, yeah, that whatever mud.
Hyphy Mud.
Hyphy
Mud.
Because like I had pre-workout at work, so like I mixed some in my coffee one day, like half a scoop, but I was like,
shit.
No, I was the whole time I'm just like, like, and I said, hey, that's like just going on my head, and I'm just like, but like my body, I'm like, I am going to die.
Let's see, people, if they're not like familiar with lifting, they see Kali muscle, like, damn, that works. I can use trash bags with a partner to get better. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
He's like holding a black trash bag. It's like, resistance training. Like, wow, he got that big from trash bags. Like, no, he didn't.
I can prove it with
There's
science.
the juice and his training routine. What he actually does.
In the mud.
in the hyphy mud, man.
Hyphy.
These ingredients.
Do you want to go, bro? But yeah, dude, the pastry girls will always get me because they have the same outfit on. Mm-hmm. They all will take that like side profile with the fitness shaker. They have like their reading glasses on when they're going to the gym, and like the ponytail.
They have found out what the equation is, and they're using it, and it works.
I guess. I mean, I feel like doing CrossFit correctly and in moderation. Like, not like being on a medicine ball doing clean and jerks.
See, but, like, I myself, like, I don't do CrossFit, so I don't even know what correct CrossFit looks like. I know what bullshit movement looks like.
Me, who sits behind a computer, I'm an expert, I can tell you.
Dude, I saw you at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah. I was the one live streaming it on Twitch.
Hey, your strudels and...
your strudels and shoulder press.
But the CrossFit Games, like... Those guys are freaks.
Yeah. Those guys are straight up chads.
Yeah, every guy who gets out that water has like like striated hammies and like an 8-pack.
Their V is like still being... There's a guy sitting on the side of their leg chiseling as
and the women too, they look awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you keep yourself healthy, but... I don't know.
Well, people see that like, oh, that's probably healthy. Like, no, I don't think so. I think they've crossed the line. I'm not trying to make what they do, anything less, but I am saying that when people think that, CrossFit's healthy, don't they have that inside joke with like, it's like Robdo the clown, Robdo as in rhabdomyolysis, when you piss blood. Yeah, like that's a CrossFit inside joke. You take it to that point, dude, you're going way too far. No, there's too far, and you went beyond that.
Yeah, there's just a point that even I've found, like, my bar is lowered to where I'd want to be, just because, I guess years of exposure and just, like, looking at it, it's like, you know what, actually, I don't want to look like that.
I can't imagine training like that, dude,
I hate that mentality, too, that, like, oh, you don't want to be like that? Because you can't be like that. It's
like going that hard in the gym, it's like, what does the next day look like?
Like a 12x12 with like 410, like deadlifts.
Yeah. You know how much fatigue that generates? See, it's like a game of chess, dude. You're like, okay, if I do, I'm gonna take your example, 12 sets of 12 at 400 plus pounds on the deadlift, which, holy fuck, that I don't...
You better be Andre the Giant.
Not all movements are created equally. Like, okay, bench press 12x12, that's still hella volume, but more realistic than deadlift 12x12. Like, I think you approach a certain rep range with certain movements where that's dangerous. Like the deadlift and the squat, they're different movements in like a bench press or movements,
So they'd tend to be the movements you need to keep lower.
Right, right. Forgot where I was going with that, actually.
Well, like moving on there from there, do you what like kind of splits? Not exactly like exact schemes because you know like 3 by 12. There's no cookie cutter really.
Hmm.
It's what their body wants them to do, what they can do, and they're capable of with their body. But what kind of splits do you think like for a beginner lifter would really asset?
Here's a mistake I think a lot of beginner lifters make. So, they want to work out, right? They go into the gym, they do everything they see. They do every machine, they do every free weight, they literally do everything. And the next day they're so goddamn sore, but like, wow, like, what I did worked. To a certain extent, they're right, because when you're a beginner, everything works. But I think that is the wrong approach. Because, like I said, what does the next day look like? The next day, they can't do shit. They are so sore, like they have so much DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, and their fatigue is so high. Even if they go into the gym, that work they do is so unproductive. So I think a beginner lifter is much better off with starting with the minimum effective volume. So the least amount of work it takes to produce a result, and then working through that, and then working up to their maximum recoverable volume. I'm quoting Mike Isertel right now. I think he's a genius, but so MEV to MRV. So when you're brand new to lifting, finding just working at the minimum effective volume, right? So the minimum effective volume for a beginner, it's one set. But who do you know? What beginner do you know can go into the gym and do one set of something and leave? They probably think they didn't do shit.
Right.
Which is not true. But they're thinking of their training as like one day as opposed to a moment in time. You need to think of your training day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year.
You're gonna spit bars.
You want me to? But see, that's the issue. They're thinking like what I do today is everything. No, what you do today is important. What you do tomorrow is important. What you do for the week is important. Week to week, month to month, like I said. I think it's a huge mistake they make, because they just don't. Like I said, there are these laws, right? I don't think they understand the laws at all.
So it's like you wouldn't want to just like your first time ever getting in a pool, you don't want to just get up on the high-rise dive and jump in.
Yeah, you're gonna drown.
You want to ease yourself into the water.
Right.
Like,
Which is what most swim schools do.
Right.
There's like a learning, like you're not doing butterfly day one.
Well, I was the most impressive baby.
Most people.
Just
look at that aqua baby doing butterfly.
Oh my gosh, he's doing reverse standard.
The Michael Phelps warm up.
The baby getting on the podium. Perfect form. Wow. He just did a triple backflip dive.
But yeah, beyond that, man, mistakes begin. That was the question, right? What mistakes do beginners make?
Or like what do you think?
A good
works?
program.
Yeah,
what works? Anything works for a beginner, man. That's what makes it so confusing for a beginner. Is anything will work because I've never done anything before. So anything they do will provide a stimulus, but it will work up until a point. So that's the thing they have to realize. It's not like, you have a lot of high school kids, right, that they go for a bench press 1 rep max, and they miserably fail. And you know what they do the next day?
Bench press 1 rep max?
They do it again. They try the same weight again. Like, I failed it yesterday, but today's different. Like, no, it's not.
Each time they're growing, though.
If you misgrooved it, that's one thing.
I feel like weightlifting is not something you could do that with. Like running, like you could be like, okay, I ran this far today. I'm gonna run 10 feet more tomorrow.
Well, you could do it with lifting, right? But it depends. Like, say you go into the gym and you do.
You can't just try to run like a 20-mile run, or you can't just try and do like a 1 rep max every day and expect it to.
Right. I mean, there are people out there who do recommend training like that, like Bulgarian style of training. Keep into mind, those lifters are highly experienced. They're the elite, and they're also using steroids. Put those two together, that's an unrealistic program for anyone.
And steroids obviously are a huge topic in the industry when you think about it. Uh, Thinking on steroids, along with this, when it comes to the industry, do you think it's more based on merit or who you know? And do you think steroids is like the pivotal stepping stone for like making it big?
What do you mean by merit?
Like so there's just people who, they look good, they take pictures, it's like, wow, they must be super fitness. And then there's the people who actually, they go in, they work out, they put in the work, as opposed to people who just kind of, like, I guess steroids plays a pivotal role in this. Like, do you think people gain followings because how they look or because of what they can do? Maybe that's a better way to put it. And do you think steroids is that pivotal point?
I think it depends on what platform you're referring to. I think a platform like Instagram, absolutely it matters what you look like. That's how you're getting your following. To a certain extent, Instagram is like, people are following you for like your informative content you put out. But for the most part, Instagram is, I think it's based off of like photos, because shit, like that is the intent behind Instagram. Something like YouTube, a little different. Like, someone putting out like 30-minute videos, you're probably not going to watch that entire video if you just like the way someone looks. You're watching it because of the content they put out. Now, I think with steroids, you acquire a certain look, right? With steroids too, it also, it really depends what you look like, but it does enable you to look a certain way year-round, or closer to a certain way year-round. So I think they can help in that regard of like, you can put out more, you can look a certain way year-round, you can put out more content looking that way. And like Instagram, for example, people, they want to see you like that. They don't want to see you, well, it depends who's following you, but for the most part, people, they don't want to see you soft. Bless you.
Okay.
They don't want to see you not stage ready.
Right.
That's not sexy.
So,
yeah. What about you, man?
So you think it comes down to that? Now, me personally, I would say, like, I guess that does make sense depending on what platform you're looking on. Instagram definitely is a different source, or it runs differently than something like YouTube. YouTube, the video links are where you can be very informative. Instagram has a lot shorter links on their videos, so I would agree with you there. It depends really the platform that you're posting to. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see how the steroids make you, steroids definitely make you look like you're chiseled, make you look like people, like the superhero build everyone like thinks looks good.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of, it looks like they have those superhuman physiques.
I dig it, man. I dig it.
What are your current goals for your lifting?
So I want to get back to a point where I'm repping out like mid 300s on the squat easily. I have not done that in a few years because of my SI joint aggravation. I want to bench 315. I don't really have any specific deadlift goals so usually I don't program deadlifts because I think the fatigue to stimulus ratio is not worth it. It generates a lot of fatigue, but the actual stimulus you get from it is, I don't think it's worth it. Like, for example, you do like huge deadlift workout and then you have more stuff planned after. What's that stuff after look like? It's probably like significantly affected. Yeah. What would that stuff look like if the deadlift wasn't there? So besides that, man, just keep improving my physique. I really do want to compete. I haven't competed yet just because I haven't thought it's been worth it. Just because I'm still like growing, getting better. I think a great age for most people to start their first competition is usually like 24, 25. I think it's a good age. And then you get to a point where maybe like, well, like 30, you can start competing maybe every year. And then you get to a point where maybe you can compete like a few times a year. And then you get to a point where you can't compete. I think leanness is leanness is an old man's game.
You're gonna be a veiny old man.
Hell yeah, dude. That old man mask.
Old man mask.
What about you, man?
The Mel Gibson look. I'm really trying to. I really want to get into running. I really wish I was a good runner. That's where I'm gonna start.
Like long distance or?
Yeah, because I want to do more Tough Mudders, stuff like that. So really, especially my knees, I need to be careful. I have the most problems there. I want to be capable of running long distance. Not that I would want to run like 20 miles at a time, but to do I guess athletic events, functional fitness events.
You know how I feel about that word, dude.
Not in this house. But I'd really love to just do more athletic stuff like that and keep myself lean and healthy. I don't think anymore it's about looking like a freak for me. It's being healthy and looking good for myself. Now, and I do appreciate you coming out today for this podcast, Adam. You are on Insta, what was it, Adamightful?
Yeah, so that's one M. Adamightful.
And I know I watch all your stuff all the time, post good stuff. You're going to have to show me how to link the Spotify with my Instagram. I was trying to yesterday.
Oh, dude, so easy.
I want to put the 315 up there, but like some AC/DC behind it.
I'll show you right after this.
Yeah, it's good. Do you use any other platforms that people can follow you on? I know Facebook's usually more of a private profile kind of thing.
Yeah, not currently. I do want to change that, but no, not currently.
Do you have any plans, like maybe a YouTube channel where you can show us all the variations of squat? We really do want to see.
That's my concern. I don't want to make a YouTube channel just for the sake of making a YouTube channel. I want to make it because, I have great content to put out, and I'm not going to do it if it's just going to be squat videos.
What about videos that cut in between you working out and backpacking through Europe?
Exactly. I think like a more of like a lifestyle channel I'd really enjoy, because I do other shit, outside of lifting. Like you and I, man, we like traveling, dude. We like going to national parks. We love anime, dude. Live reactions of anime. Like, goddamn, when Hero Academy comes out, dude, I want to stream that, dude. Me crying to the...
Just record yourself, my reaction to this.
That'd be cool, dude. All of us in a room doing that.
Oh, man. Yeah. That would be a whole lot of fun. Yeah, that's... I feel that more the lifestyle videos. I know you could start with what your car shouldn't look like. I always like to give Adam shit about his car. He does keep it messy. My car gets messy at times, but I've been cleaning up my car. I do want to keep it empty. I plan to get rid of it at some point. But yeah, that's all we have for today. Adam, I really do appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Yes, sir. I mean, there's always more to come. We've got more podcasts. I do apologize. I am going to have to probably keep this podcast right now as a weekly or a bi-weekly as opposed to weekly where it was, just because I'm looking to have people each week. I really did try last week doing a podcast by myself, and that did not turn out too well. I just couldn't focus. I couldn't keep myself on track and just talking over in circles. So I will be working on just getting someone every time there is a podcast. Do continue to like these videos, subscribe, and get others to subscribe if they care about any of this content, if they find it interesting. And thank you guys. Have a good day.